Welcome to the Business Spotlight podcast. Today, I'm thrilled to be speaking with Hugh Edeleanu, founder of the HE Services Plant Hire. From a single second-hand digger, Hugh has grown his companies into the UK's largest specialist excavator hire business and established a range of innovative ventures along the way. With projects like Diggerland, theme parks, Master Hitch in Europe, and even pioneering solar and electrical vehicle services, Hugh's journey is a testament to ingenuity and entrepreneurial spirit. Let's dive right in and hear directly from you about how he built these businesses. Hugh, welcome to the Business Spotlight.
Thank
Great
you.
to have you.
Thank you.
So tell us a bit about your business and how it all started.
Well, I started when I was 16 years old. I bought a very old JCB digger, which was broken down. I repaired it myself, got it going, taught myself how to drive it. In those days, you didn't need tests or licenses or anything. You just got chucked in at the deep end. And I went out and earned a little bit of money digging holes and swimming pools for people and so on with this old digger.
Oh, brilliant. And there's been quite a few businesses along the way. So tell us about the journey and how it all developed for you over the
Yes,
years.
sure. So I actually did an engineering degree at Cambridge University. So I was actually working during the term time at university, learning engineering, and during the vacations, I was digging holes with my used, fairly decrepit digger, but it was probably about the best you could get in those days. So I learned the technical and professional side at university, and I learned very much the practical side as I went along doing work myself and so on. So I did that probably for 10 years. I finished my degree and then went full-time into the business. But after about 10 years, I decided that as well as continuing to grow the business, I would branch into a few other ventures as well. The first one was actually Diggerland. We came up with an idea that maybe kids who are not in the construction industry or haven't got parents in the construction industry actually might like to play around with equipment. So we did a few test days and so on, and well, we couldn't get the kids off the diggers. They absolutely loved them. So we opened Diggerland, which is a network of theme parks. There's 4 in the UK and 1 franchise in New Jersey in America. And people can come along, mum, dad, 2 or 3 kids, and just have a great day digging holes, driving dumper trucks, and doing all sorts of challenges and riding on various items of construction equipment. That business started in the year 2000. So we've just sort of completed our 25th year as Diggerland.
Wow, that's amazing. And yeah, the kids really love Diggerland. So please share with us some of the biggest learnings you've had on the journey.
Okay, well, I've seen probably five or six recessions during my 52-year career in business. And sometimes they come along and you're sort of expecting them because there's a few signals before they actually happen. But the big one in 2008 was the biggest and the quickest as well. No one was expecting it, and we had to reorganize very rapidly because we were just in the process of buying lots more equipment and expanding the business, and then suddenly the demand just dropped off a cliff. We had a business in Ireland as well, which had been doing really, really well. And that went from doing really, really well to literally nothing in 2 weeks. All of the machinery came back from hire. All of our customers, either folded up their businesses, went bankrupt or liquidation or whatever. We just literally had to close the business over probably about a month period because there was suddenly no demand and no chance of getting paid either. So that was a real shock and a challenge. The UK was not quite as bad as that, but nevertheless, we had to downsize in the UK. But people who haven't been through these recessions, when it comes along, it hits them and they have to take pretty quick action. But yeah, I've learned through the recessions that I've been through.
And what advice would you give to others should we have a similar cycle again in future?
Okay, well, I mean, I'm very lucky. I've got a, a financial director who's been with me for 25 years, um, uh, Claire, and she was very, very astute financially. And although I'm an entrepreneur and I like to be, very gung-ho and go ahead and let's open this and let's do this, and she's a sort of stabilizing influence behind the scenes and will very much um, keep me under control financially, if you like. And I think anyone in business needs to have a good team around them, and I've got very good team members, and Claire especially has been able to make sure the business has been on a good financial footing, without risking, any major cash flow problems or any major risk of having to cease trading or anything like that. So yeah, one needs a good team around you and an input into what people think the future might bring and what to be doing and what not to be doing, and then got to make the right decisions and go from there.
Yeah, that's brilliant advice. Thank you, you. So can you talk a little bit about some of the hurdles you've had to overcome while building a business?
Um, I don't think there's anything that's out of the normal, but certainly regulation, legislation, compliance, matters like that have been getting tougher and tougher over the years. And now there's quite a lot of energy and money and staff involved in complying. I mean, we probably get 2 or 3 statistical returns a week coming to the business, and we have to complete these, giving information to various either government bodies or quasi-government bodies. So, years ago, we would never have that. So, it's just it's a burden on the business to have to comply with those and all the various other, financial accountancy, and all the other returns. Business is becoming more and more complex, and it's a learning curve along the way, and they bring out new rules and regulations all the time. I don't think I've ever seen regulations withdrawn. It's always more and more compliance and red tape and so on that comes along, which is not a bad thing in one way, but it does hinder businesses that want to expand, and dare I say, especially small businesses who perhaps haven't got the manpower, the knowledge and the experience to be able to cope with things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, can be quite impactful, especially for the smaller business, as you say. Um, what were the biggest mistakes you've made, and what did you learn from them?
Gosh, how long have you got? If you don't take chances in life and in business, you'll never get anywhere. So, the answer, I think, is you try and make an educated decision, although there will be some risk involved, and you'll be taking a chance every time you make a decision. But if you try and get them right the majority of the time, then that's great. We did open a plant hire business in France, in Paris, probably 22 years ago. We didn't want to put one of our English members of staff in charge of it because, French people and French customers only deal with Frenchmen. So we put a Frenchman in charge. Well, we soon found out we were being stitched up big time, because he was really only looking after himself and his customers and not us as a business, if you like. And I could go through all sorts of things that we found and discovered we actually traded in total for 5 years. Probably the first 6 months it ran relatively smoothly, but once he got his feet under the table, he started stitching us up, and we lost a lot of equipment, we lost a lot of money, we had huge bad debts, and towards the end we realized that well, he was in collusion, if you like, so that didn't help us. So we had to close that business. So that was, we thought it was a good idea to expand into France because it's country fairly close to England. There is a requirement there for lots of construction equipment. But of course, the ethos of dealing with a different nationality who might have a or a hidden agenda, if you like, dealing with a different language, different culture, different rules and regulations. Everyone we dealt with, whether it be accountancies or banks or whatever, just saw us as a way of earning lots of money, and we were a little bit naive in that respect.
Yeah. And what was the key takeaways from that experience?
That's probably when I learned to maybe make even more informed decisions, if you like, rather than just say, hey, let's do this. A few people within the organization were a little bit apprehensive at the time, and I was thinking, well, no, we've got to carry on building the business. This is the next good step. We'd already done Ireland, and Ireland had actually been doing was doing very well at that time, because that was before the major recession when we had to close. So I thought, well, we've done the UK, we've done Ireland, let's do France. But no, it didn't work.
So yeah, we often learn the most through the things that don't work out as well as we hope.
Yeah. I mean, if you can speak to large and famous business people, from Richard Branson to Elon Musk, and they've always been right on the brink of going bankrupt or having to close their business at some stage in their career, but they've always managed to pull through. So often it's those either failures or potential failures that teaches you a lot.
Yeah, absolutely agree. So what's your aspirations for your companies over the next 5 years?
Okay, well, I've got no plans on retiring. I'm going to, well, people say I'm going to die at my desk, if you like, but no, I just want to continue to work in the business. We've branched out quite a bit from our original roots of construction equipment and plant hire. Diggerland obviously is a theme park, but nevertheless it's still based on construction equipment. So we've got 3 other businesses within the group at the moment. We've got Master Hitch, which is an engineering company. They make steel fabrications mainly for the construction industry and construction equipment. And that's got a very, very good reputation, and that's it's growing a little bit each year, which is great. We want to make sure we get everything 100% right, rather than trying to expand too quickly and get things wrong because of that. So that's Master Hitch. Then the other 2 businesses are, we started in 2014. We bought 34 Tesla cars when they were first launched in the UK. In fact, I'd ordered them 2 years before because there was a long waiting list. And basically we started renting those out because people hadn't heard of Tesla and they didn't know much about electric cars. So we bought some, we used a few as company cars, and the remainder we hired out. And we found there was a demand for electric cars, but also a demand for people wanting to learn about electric cars because they were very new into the field at that time. And then from there, we developed the business and purchased other brands, and now eVision Electric Vehicles is a sort of the £6 million turnover business. And we rent out electric cars and vans throughout the UK, anything from 1 day to 4 years. As I say, all brands. And vans especially are very popular at the moment because it's £15 a day London congestion charge. If you're a petrol or diesel vehicle, it's nothing if it's an electric vehicle. And many of our vans will be less than £15 a day to rent out. So it's a no-brainer if you've got a van in London, you've got to use an electric vehicle. So that business is busy, it's growing rapidly. We're still educating people, although we've noticed as the years have gone past, more and more people are now familiar with electric cars. So there's a bit less education needed now. And then the last business which is relatively new, is a solar business. We had a lot of solar panels installed ourselves by contractors in 2012, when the feed-in tariff was still around. So we had a lot put on all of our properties in the UK, and also we rented roofs from other people at that time to put the solar panels on. The solar industry went into the doldrums a little bit after when the feed-in tariff was removed. but nevertheless, over the last 4 or 5 years, the cost of solar panels and also inverters and associated products have come down substantially. Energy costs obviously spiked a few years ago hugely, so suddenly everyone woke up to solar again. So we're now very busy on that side, and in fact we run a business called Sun Power Services within that, and Sun Power Services basically puts solar panels on other people's roofs at no charge. So literally we'll come along, we'll put £100,000 worth of panels on an industrial roof, and then we put a meter in and we basically charge them for the solar power that they use at a cheaper price than they're paying for the electricity from the grid anyway. So basically our industrial and commercial customers get a big green tick in their reducing carbon box. They don't have to spend a penny outlay whatsoever at all, and they reduce their electricity bills because they're paying us a lot less than they would be paying to the grid. So it's a win-win situation.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think there's a lot of need within the business community, to bring costs down with the rising costs, and I think that's a great initiative. Excellent. So what impact do you think the 2025 economic calendar is going to have on the industry, or just the economic area?
Okay, well, I mean, I don't. The budget, was meant to be for growth and for business. Well, it wasn't. There are lots of people I know who are in business, and they're all a bit dismayed about a number of things which are going to have a huge impact from the recent budget decisions. And I'm afraid it's not good news for the UK economic outlook. It appears to be trying to look after the average working person, but actually by not looking after businesses, that's not looking after the average working person, because if businesses lay off staff, can't afford to give them pay rises, or don't do very well, then they don't, it'll be not nearly so good for the average working person who is employed by all of those small, medium and large businesses. So I think the government have got it very wrong in a lot of the decisions they made in the budget. Clearly they had a black hole to fill, but I don't think they went about it the right way at all.
No, it is. I think there's going to be some challenges lying ahead for many businesses. What is the best advice that you would give someone just starting out in business?
Okay. I would say a combination of pushing ahead with your idea, tempered with a little bit of planning and restraint to make sure that you're not going to misplan and maybe invest a lot of money into something which is going to turn into a disaster. But don't be held back by someone who says, "Oh, I don't think that's a good idea. Don't do it." Do your research, come up with a business plan, maybe run it through a few people who know what they're doing, get their opinions, and then make a decision. And if it's no, then no problem. If it's yes, then great. But in life, the worst thing you can do is not make a decision. You just sit on the fence. You've got to decide, yes, I think it's going to work, and then give it a go, or no, it's not going to work, I'll move on and try something else.
Yeah, excellent. Brilliant advice there. Thank you, Hugh. I'm going to end with a few rapid fire questions.
Sure.
What's the key to success for you?
What's the key to success? I think it's having a good team.
Yeah,
definitely. I've got a very good team of staff around me. I mean, we have people who have been with us for 45 years employed in the business, and our average length is probably 15 years. So we've got very, very good staff retention. And if you've got a good team around you, that makes sure your business runs smoothly and is successful. You don't want a high turnover of staff.
Yeah, good one there. If you could magically improve one area in the business right now, what would it be?
it would not be possible, but if one could substantially reduce the amount of compliance and red tape, with the swipe of a wand, that would help our business, but it would help all other businesses as well. There's a lot of compliance for compliance sake, which is obviously unnecessary.
Yeah, absolutely. What inspires you or is currently inspiring to you?
Well, every morning I get up and I want to go to work and get on with things. In fact, one of my managers, quite a few years ago now, said to me when I arrived at his depot at 7 o'clock in the morning after a 3-hour drive, he said, "Hugh, what keeps you going? How can you do this? I struggle to get into work for 8 o'clock in the morning, and I've come in early this morning to see you. I struggle." And I thought, wow, I don't need to have something. I don't need a carrot in front of me to drive me along. I'm very self-motivated. Needless to say, that manager didn't last very long because he almost told me himself he wasn't
Yes.
interested in pushing the business ahead.
Yeah. Best book you've read and can recommend to other business leaders?
Well, I'm going to have to pass on that because actually I don't read books because I don't really have time. I mean, when I was studying and years ago, I would read books, but I haven't probably read a book in 30 years, so I can't answer that. I'm sorry.
No, that's good. How about this question? What's the best advice you've ever received in business and can pass along?
Best advice, gosh. I think it was the chairman of 3M many years ago, and basically what he said was, if you've got an idea and you think it's going to work, try it, because not all ideas succeed, but if you don't try your ideas and actually see whether they're going to come to fruition, you won't get anywhere in life. I mean, I think we were talking specifically actually about products and innovation and that sort of thing. And I think he said something like 99% of the things we develop and try never come to fruition. They don't turn out to be a product that sells and so on. But 1 out of 100 does. Whether it be post-it notes or sellotape or whatever it happens to be, suddenly you hit something and wow, it does well. But if you don't keep pushing ahead with all of those things, you won't find the 1 in 100 that really works.
Excellent advice there. You mentioned to me about your upcoming stunt. There's something going to be on TV. Do you want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, most people think of diggers and construction equipment as just bits of metal and engines and hydraulics and rams working away on a building site and so on. We're very much into entertainment with diggers as well. We run a team of dancing diggers which goes around and performs at county shows around the UK and overseas as well. And we've been on TV, well, I don't know, 30, 40 times doing various stunts, opening champagne bottles with diggers and all sorts of things like that. So recently we've filmed something which I can't tell you too much about because it's not been aired yet, but the old TV program from many years ago called You Bet is making a resurrection, and 2 episodes have been filmed. One of the episodes involves one of our diggers having to do a very, very difficult stunt. Can't say much more than that because I've been sworn to secrecy, because the audience actually have to guess whether the stunt's going to work or not in advance, and then the stunt is done. So watch this space, but it certainly will be very entertaining. ITV, the actual date hasn't been announced yet, but it should be in the next month or 2.
Brilliant. Yeah, can't wait. Definitely going to watch that one. You, again, thank you so much for coming along. Anything else you'd like to share with our listeners?
I would just encourage people to get involved in business, be energetic and proactive in life. Life's not easy if you just sit back and wait for either money to come in or ideas to come in or business to come to you. It doesn't. You've got to go and get it. You've got to work hard, and the harder you work, the more successful you'll be. So just push yourself in business, and you will succeed, and it'll be like a snowball gathering more and more snow, because when things go well, the business grows and then it's carried on from there. So just go for it.
Excellent. Thank you again, Hugh, for your time today.
Alida, you're welcome. Thank you.